Deepak Chopra, our guest, he's written 55 books, 56? 60 now. You're prolific. Okay, let's go back to this one. Then I want to talk to you about addiction, because I know you wrote one on addiction and you're here for a special reason. So back to the soul of leadership. Look and listen, emotional bonding, awareness.
Then action orientation, or doing. L-E-A-D-E-R-S, so doing, smart goals, stretch more than you can reach, measure your progress, have everybody agree on how you're going to measure it, record it, set time limits.
Where do your core values fit into this?
The core values come from your soul profile. So when you see people who are empowered, one, they're living up to their core values. Two, they have great self-esteem. And three, they use their strengths. They maximize my strengths. Now you can, I'm at Gallup, you can do a test called Strength Finders, and you can find your strengths. So my strengths are futuristic, adaptable, connectedness, strategic, and maximizer, which means I don't waste my energy. I maximize my energy by only strategically using it for the right thing.
So in a sense...
And so everyone, you can find their strengths and they complement the strengths.
So you do the dance, but you don't tell people how to dance.
No.
Would that be right?
That's right. But you also, you see, a good dance is where everybody's dancing in the way they dance best.
Exactly. So tolerance.
Understanding, tolerance, forgiveness, all those things
Allowing...
are natural. But, if you're emotionally and spiritually bonded, then you don't have to worry about that. It just happens. You encourage other people to maximize their strengths. You encourage them to feel good about themselves. You acknowledge them. There are studies now that show that if you work with a supervisor who ignores you, then your disengagement goes up by 40%. If the supervisor doesn't ignore you but actually criticizes you, it falls to 20%, because you would rather be criticized than ignored.
Really?
Because now you're being noticed. On the other hand, if the supervisor acknowledges a single strength you have, your disengagement drops by less than 1%. In the US alone, this is estimated to cost $380 billion, the disengaged worker.
So going back to the days of the one-minute manager, when the idea was, no matter what, praise your employees. Just for 1 minute a day.
Not artificially. Notice a strength and be genuinely, authentically appreciative of it. It's not flattery.
Right, because everybody gets that.
Right.
Is this a real thing you're saying to me? Is it authentic, or are you just saying this because in the...
because you read that it's good.
Exactly. And in the meeting they said, no matter what, make sure you send a happy memo to everybody on your staff. And the staff gets the happy memo and they think, no, this isn't genuine.
It's hypocritical, yeah.
So doing, very important.
And then empowerment, which I spoke about just now. Responsibility, total well-being, which includes financial well-being, social well-being, physical, emotional well-being, and career well-being. Only 20% of people say they're happy at their career in the United States. Only 20%. More people die on Monday morning at 9 o'clock than any other time because they hate their jobs. So, your career should be one where you're passionate about what you do and you are able to use your skills.
And if not, you have to leave. And that's never easy.
You have to find a match. I mean, these days, there's so many matchmaking sites. There are also sites in the internet for career matchmaking. And this is a very new era we are entering in through social networks that support each other. And we found also at Gallup that if you have social networks where people support each other, make each other happy, you have dramatic fall in things like death from breast cancer and other diseases, because that emotional support has an effect on your immune system.
Sure. But you, being Deepak Chopra, listen to your inner guide. Other people may listen to their ego. How do you know the difference? Is this my soul talking? Is this the real thing?
Whenever you listen to your ego, you feel discomfort in your body. And you get very easily offended by criticism. People who listen to their soul are not easily offended. They're immune to criticism. They're immune to flattery. They're responsive to feedback. They feel beneath no one, and they are fearless.
Now, speaking
the ego is full of fear because it needs approval all the time.
Okay. So a Gandhi
Yeah.
or a Mandela, or a Martin Luther King or a Lincoln, they knew what was wrong, clearly. Slavery, wrong. And they could stick to their guns about it. You know, Gandhi could ride on the bus he wasn't supposed to be on. Rosa Parks, I don't know anybody you can think of.
She was great.
Who?
Rosa Parks was a
did you
friend
meet
of mine.
her?
Yeah, she was great.
Wow.
She was
So what defines somebody like that, and someone who talks a lot but doesn't act?
People like that are almost naturals, or if they're not naturals, their self-esteem was built up by their parents when they were very little. The first 3 years of our life, we kind of create the tape loops that stay muffled and play inside us for the rest of our life. The best thing you can do for a child is to build their self-esteem when they're very young. So my mother did that, and she did that with both brothers. And you know, my brother is the dean of medical education at Harvard Medical School. We always had great self-esteem because somewhere in the back of our minds, we heard the voice of our mother saying, "You're so great, you're going to do wonderful things, you're going to change the world."
But you not only heard it, you believed it.
Well, if you hear that the first 3 years of life, you believe everything.
You're pretty well hooked.
And there's a phenomenon called mirror neurons that, you know, children in the first 3 years of life, their neurons mirror the neurons of the people in their environment.
Okay, and back to leaders because we forgot the S, synchronicity.
Synchronicity, being at the right place at the right time, what people call good luck, or God is on your side, or the state of grace.
Sure, and if all that works, you have more peak moments of joy and ecstasy, I'm sure.
Yes, you live a life of mindful awareness, joy, peace, equanimity, loving kindness, compassion.
So when you look at the world today and what's happening in Egypt and in the Arab world, and you see a tipping point in history, really.
It's happening, yeah.
It's happening, and a shift. And often when there's a shift, and I think you wrote this on your blog, people are always looking in the wrong direction.
Yes, right.
Or governments aren't ahead of it.
The governments aren't ahead of it, and they're looking only from a point of view of self-interest. So we have American bases at all these places. These despots and tyrants are our friends. And this is not the way for a functioning democracy that's proud of being a democratic country to behave. You know, we have to really, I once asked a person in State Department whom I won't name, so what happened with Afghanistan? You deserted your friends. And I was told, we don't have friends, we have interests. So as long as we look at the world like that, in the end, we'll pay the karmic debt of that.
The difference between foreign affairs and foreign relations, the difference between needing oil and all of that, or being on side of the dictator because that's where the oil is, that kind of thing, but it's hypocritic.
There's a karmic law. What you give is what you get, period.
Pretty much. Okay, back to why you're here. You're going to endow the center in Squamish, the Paradise Valley Wellness Center, with an addiction treatment program.
Right.
Tell me about it.
Well, a friend of mine, Nirmala, has been coming to our courses for a long time, and she runs some healthcare facilities here, and she's opened this addiction treatment center in Paradise Valley, and we have based it on this book, Freedom from Addiction. We believe that all addiction is an escape from reality, but it's also a search for joy and ecstasy and exaltation of spirit. So, you know, many years ago, I said we can change people's habits so they come from spirits to spirit.
Okay, so quit the spirits, stop drinking the gin.
Yes.
And figure out what that deep need is, what isn't being met in your life. Doesn't mean you can't have a martini occasionally.
Right.
It means when it has you.
Yeah, well, again, you know, it's a question of when we teach people meditation and mindful awareness and detox them, as we do at this center in Paradise Valley, what happens is they start to feel the joy inside. They start to feel the equanimity. They start to feel this quiet, energetic state, which I'm telling you is addictive.
Of course, it would be.
You know, so when the next time you want to have that gin and tonic or whatever, you want to say, do I want to disturb this? This feels so good.
So, in a sense, as Arianna Huffington writes on the back of the Soul book, you're in touch with your higher angels.
Yes.
You're not operating out of fear or need. You're in touch with your higher angel. But if you're addicted to a substance, heroin, marijuana, booze, how do you get there?
Well, you have to have
it's
a
probably
desire.
Another show.
Yeah, you have to have the desire and the intention. But when you have that, we have the tools.
Does everybody have them innately?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody has them innately. And I think addiction is a spiritual disease. I find that most addicts are really spiritual people. They're looking for something.
And do you know what that something is?
Yeah, exaltation of their own soul, exaltation of their own spirit.
Because...
genuine, authentic ecstasy.
Okay. Because as you know, when you have a few pops, you feel a little ecstasy, but the next morning you don't feel so good.
Yeah, and after a while you can't get enough of what you don't want in the first place.
So it must be terribly freeing to let it all go.
It's terribly freeing, joyful, empowering.
And non-violent.
And non-violent.
Where are you going now? To Squamish, to the center?
Yes, this afternoon to Squamish at the center, and we're doing a course here at the Fairmont Hotel downtown for medical doctors, actually. This course is approved for continuing medical education in the United States by the American Medical Association. And we do it twice a year for medical doctors, for health professionals, and other people who want to learn more about mind-body healing.
Oh, great. Nice to see you again.
Fanny.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deepak Chopra's newest book, The Soul of Leadership. Another one, Freedom from Addiction, out of the Chopra Center in Los Angeles. You live in New York. Sometimes you're in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Not sure where you're going. San Diego?
Yeah.
Okay.
I live wherever I am, actually.
Good choice. You sure do.
Thank you.
You're so present. Not afraid of death. I don't know what we're going to do with you.
I don't know.
Deepak Chopra.